Hey, this is Dale Tinsley. You're listening to the Connect podcast. Our purpose is to guide you to connect with yourself so that you can connect with others and live a life of meaning and value. Continuing the series, Limitless Potential, Endless Refinement. Peace be with you, and welcome back to the Connect podcast. Hope you're in great spirits today. We got a treat. We got Jacob Lawson on the couch with us. Make It Extraordinary himself. That is his brand. That's the work that he does, and he's also a business owner. So we're gonna have a great conversation today. Welcome, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. I've been waiting on this
Yeah.
quite a while. We've been, 6-8 months in the making?
Yeah, and I wanted to bring you on because we have the live event July 26th here in New Orleans, and you're going to be speaking at it.
I'm really stoked for that, man.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We also have Dr. Christina Melanson, Sean Otto, and so they've been on this couch before. And I moved some stuff that we've already recorded to the side to get you in to have this episode go live before the event. So Thank you for coming through, man. So let's start with you as a youngster, some background, like where did you grow up? How did things unfold? And
born and raised on the West Bank of New Orleans, Marrero, born and raised. Regular, what we thought was middle class, what we'd probably call lower middle class these days, Standards have changed a little bit, but we didn't know no different. We had a good life. We had presents on our birthdays and Christmas and made do the rest of the year, So life was good there. Good parents, good family. Learned how to hustle early on. Started asking mom for some things as I started getting to be, in that 12 years old age. And she's like, you want something, you go out and make it. You go out and make your own money if you want something, And I'm like, how am I gonna make money at 12 years old? She's like, call this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Tell them you'll cut their grass, clean their garage, clean out their attic, wash their cars, see what they need done. And that's kind of how the hustling spirit kind of got started, So it started early. I always was a hard worker. It was just kind of natural in me. Didn't matter, give me a task, I'll go do it. The neighbors were doing yard work, I'd go help them, I wouldn't, it's just kind of naturally in me, So I would say that's where I started with my hustling spirit, and just kind of progressed into there, through teenage years and some wilder hustling escapades through some of those years that luckily I skated through.
So Jacob has a book called Make It Extraordinary. You can pick it up on Amazon. And I'm about 75% through it. And there's a story in there that was eye-opening for me, sitting with the evolved version of Jacob Lawson. It's a very candid book. It's full of some profound and very powerful messages and things that Jacob went through, that he shares his personal life, and almost getting in some trouble, getting in a little trouble, and it could have went really squirrely and sideways for you, man. So
definitely could have been a lot worse. Gotten enough trouble to scare me straight, which is a blessing in disguise, because definitely could have been a lot worse on many occasions. And so the book is 27, Make It Extraordinary, 27 life-changing lessons. I took my most pivotal
It's close.
Pivotal life-changing lessons, and put them in a book, you know, and the good, the bad, the ugly's in there, right? So, you know, the early, the mid lessons and the later lessons that I've learned all the way through my life, the ones that changed my life, the ones that made that path veer into a different direction, you know, the ones that had that not happened, I would not be where I'm at. You know, so all of those life-changing lessons, the ones that gave you that different direction. You were on one path, this happened, and it took you in a different direction, right? And then, so what were the lessons that I learned from that, you know? And just wanted to share them with the world. And been so blessed to have so many mentors in my life teach me some of those lessons. And you know, I feel like it's my duty to pay that back and try to share those lessons and share those with the world, and maybe help a few people, what I call kind of leapfrog over some of those hard way lessons. You know, if you learn the hard way lesson from somebody else and don't go through it yourself, you know, you've leapfrogged over that valley or gorge or whatever that may be, those waters you're testing, you know.
Yeah, those moments are the forks in the road. And also, I like to use the other analogy, jumping timelines. You basically jump a timeline and you start, like everything is different at that point based on those decisions. Sometimes those things are kind of forced on us, you know, when we're not as aggressive or we're not in flow or synchronicity. And then we're reactionary, and that there's lessons there too, right? Like, man, you knew you should have made this choice. Your instinct told you, your intuition told you, and we got to get slapped around a little bit by life, and then that light bulb goes off, and you say, oh, okay, I see it. You know, as I was reading it, like some key people jumped out. Was it your grandfather was the wood carver?
Yeah, on my mom's side.
Yeah, he was, and then he just kind of picked that up. How did that?
He was wartime Navy veteran and submarine captain, wartime Navy diver. This guy planted, assembled, and disassembled bombs underwater during the war. Talk about
pressure,
balls of steel.
Oh, that's focused, highly focused, hyper focused on what you're doing, zero distractions, or your life and the people around you could be over, huh?
It's funny, my uncle told me that there was whatever he was going to be enlisted in was going to pay him $200 a month, and the diver bomb position was going to pay him $220 a month. And so he signed that paper, you know, the life decisions you can make over $20 a month, and the things that happen. And, you know, I grew up with the retired version of him, which was mostly fun and wild. But, you know, the older we got, the more stories he would tell us. And he was an extraordinary individual. And wood carving was his passion, and he picked it up on submarines, just whittling wood, and then turned that into his passion, especially as he retired.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let me ask you, so how did it unfold for you as you look back when you're like, okay, I've got this content? Was it spoken to you in your head and you said, I need to write this book, I'm ready, I have this yearning for it? How did that manifest itself?
I've had a few aha moments in my life that are pivotal changes in directions, where they were an aha moment and I listened to it. And I don't know if that makes me different, that I listen to that intuition when it happens. I feel like we all sometimes get those things, and maybe we don't always react on them. I'm pretty good at reacting to them, and the book came about on a jog. I was literally jogging. Something told me to write a book. I stopped running. Like, I literally started thinking about it, and I stopped running, and I started jotting down notes, and I started jotting down chapters. I started jotting down those pivotal moments. Like, literally, you know, stopped running in the middle of the thing, and like, oh, well, this is a chapter, this is a chapter, this is a lesson, this is a lesson. And literally, by the time I got back from the run, I probably had, you know, 3/4 of the chapters, right? I was like, you know, and I had inclinations before that one day I might write a book. But when I thought about it, it would be way later in my life. And when I had originally thought about it, I thought it would be about wild excursions and episodes that I had on some wild trips in my earlier single days. So nothing like this, you know, but I had inclinations of one day doing that. But when I had that download, that aha, that hit me, you know.
Oh yeah, that's a download. That's how the Connect podcast manifested, man. Same process, driving. Got the one thought. I was in gratitude and humility, thanking God for just finishing up that job in Galveston, driving back, dude, and it was 3 hours steady. So yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's like episode 6 or 7. I described some of it. Yeah, man, that's powerful that you listen and you trust that intuition and that you act on it. A lot of people, they just don't.
There's been a couple other times that I have been the game changers. A big one when I first started my career, I was working offshore and overseas. 21, 22 years old, working in Africa, making great money for a young 21, 22-year-old. And my father raised us, you know, oil field life. That's how he brought the bread home, you know, was oil field. And I didn't know any different, you know, that was life, right? You know, we had a dad that loved us and worked hard for us and supported us. He was gone a lot, but that's how he paid the bills, right? You know, and I, sure enough, started following his footsteps right after high school, and like I said, great money at that time. I'm in Africa, overseas, you know, and probably pulling in close to 80 G's a year as a 20-year-old in the early 2000s, right? And but I had another aha moment that was like, if you don't change this now, you're gonna be stuck for the rest of your life. You're gonna get to a point where, you know, they kind of call it the golden handcuffs, where you're not gonna have a choice to be able to transition, you know, from this, and you don't want to raise your kids from an oil rig, you know. So that was one of those aha moments that I definitely listened to, and it changed, which eventually led to me starting my own flooring business, which the next big aha moment that was the game changer was the original name of the flooring business was Big Jake's Affordable Flooring. Big Jake being a childhood nickname, also my rap persona.
Okay.
So, coming up under one of my mentors, my big brother, Jeremy LeBlanc, learned how to lay flooring from him. And he had pretty much well-off customers, right? Nobody was struggling that he was doing business with, and I figured I didn't want to compete with him. Let me go Big Jake's Affordable Flooring and get the customers right a step underneath them, right? Okay. And so needless to say, I wasn't attracting the big spenders. We were doing Section 8 apartments. We were doing the jobs nobody wanted to do. We were, you know, just doing work that nobody could be excited to do. You know, fixing up an old, cheap, broken down house with the cheapest solution that they could either afford or were willing to spend on, right? And so one day early on, about 6 months into that business, I was doing some pickup work with Jeremy, and in between one of my jobs, and I'm literally riding on a Home Depot bucket in the back of his van, his work van, and and I said, I got it. And he said, what? He said, I got the name of my business. He said, what? I said, it's not affordable flooring anymore. He said, it's extraordinary flooring. And he kind of looked at me and kind of like, I don't know about that one, bro. You know, he kind of gave me that little bro, you know, that little bro thing, right? And it didn't matter. He said, this is the name of my business. This is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna provide. It's no longer Big Jake's Affordable Flooring. It's gonna be Jake's Extraordinary Flooring. And boom, so like listening to that right there changed all the energy. And almost like magic, almost like karma, things started changing. We started getting beautiful houses. We started getting big contractors doing $1 million homes. We started getting flooring companies doing their work for big high-end customers. And like almost like that, you know, I call it God's divine timing. You know, we listened, we made the change, we made the transition, and that shifted, you know, that shifted the energy and created a new reality for us, you know, and that came from an aha moment. I could have not listened. I could have heard it and just discounted it. Oh, that's a good idea. Move on, you know.
Action.
Oh, Big Brother laughed at me. You know, I could have listened to him. Maybe he's right, you know. Nah, like I listened to that, you know. And so those moments, I think so many people do not act on them. They feel them, they believe them, but then maybe they don't believe in themselves.
Yeah, well,
you know,
there's doubt. Most people, the story in the head is doubt. I can't. It's fear-based. It's what are they going to think? It's judgment. You know, all that's wrapped up in the ego. As you were telling me that, what stood out to me and what I saw, because I told you a little bit before we started, I was envisioning what you were saying. To do those jobs that nobody wanted to do, you still did them. And you still try to execute at a high level, I would imagine, because it's you. You know, from what I know of you, even if it's the cheapest materials, we're going to do it right. It's going to be a quality job, right? So as I was listening, I'm thinking the humility to do those jobs that nobody would do, to get the experience, to start building momentum, to be in gratitude. Even, hey, I'm working. I got my own business. I'm not in Africa. I'm home with my kids every night. I'm home with my wife, right? And so what was coming at me was the humility, the gratitude, and you were just staying in it, staying in it, staying in it. Here's your bone. Here's your blessing. Here's the Spirit speaking to you. You know what I'm saying? And then because you had the humility and the gratitude, and you were in that energy, now you're going to get the blessing. And then you acted on it, and then from that, and you could feel the energy. Like, I got chill bumps thinking about it, but you can feel that shift. And that make it extraordinary came from somewhere. Now, when we're in that gratitude and we're in that humility, we're connected to the field of infinite possibilities, man. You're connected to pure consciousness, brother. And that's it. And then, like you said, man, everything just, and then the synchronicities start coming, right? Because you know you deserve it, right? You put in that work, you have the humility, you have the gratitude. We're supposed to be here living in abundance, man. Mind, body, spirit, baby, connect.
It is wild when you do connect with those, maybe those outer sources, or those external sources that they are a reality, but you also can live life like they're not.
Oh, right? Sure.
You can live life like they're not, or you can believe in them and let that energy flow. Right?
Oh yeah, once you get a taste of it, then you see, wow, right? So let's keep going with the make it extraordinary. And at what point, so you had the book, you had the flooring company now, you live it, right? You apply it to everything that you do. My takeaway from it is, there's a guy that I work with in the oil field named John Gaston, and he told me years back, he said, Dale, it only costs a little bit more to fly first class. Now that's not an accurate statement, because the plane ticket's like twice as much, but the meaning behind it is similar to what you got going on. It's just another 25%, baby, to make it extraordinary. You could have it like this, or you could give it a little bit more love, a little bit more attention, and now you got something extraordinary.
I agree with your friend. It's only a little bit more to fly first class. And it's worth every penny most of the time.
For sure.
Not all the time.
On a long trip, definitely.
Long trips for sure, multiple stops for sure. Owning a business, that's what the credit card points are for.
Roger.
Make sure you fly first class.
Amen.
It's one of the few perks you get in the struggles of growing a business.
Amen.
You gotta take those perks where you get them. Good write-offs.
Yeah, the Connect podcast is still, it's evolving organically, and we're not there yet. But,
not racking up the credit card points yet.
No, but all my guests and my people are first class for sure, homie. Yeah.
So, without a doubt, to kind of double back on what you said about, just. And at the time, I don't even know that I knew the true meaning of expressing gratitude, right? You'd have gratitude for monumental events. At that time, starting my business, I was engaged. I had a fiance with a baby on the way, and the moments of gratitude when your first child is born, and those kind of things. Like, everybody can, there's no way you cannot have that when you have a monumental event like that. But to learn to express the gratitude on the day in and the day out of the normal life that so many of us take for granted, right? That's a different level of evolving. And that is a serious mind shift that people take for granted. Like, it's real easy to have gratitude for these monumental occasions. But to have gratitude for the day-to-day, even when, like most of us, are going through our own struggles, right? We've all got our own struggles. We've all got our own sorrows. We've all got our own problems. And so many people can get caught up in living in that and focusing more on the problems than having the gratitude for everything else. So that was a different level of becoming when I started being able to daily express and feel gratitude for life. And I talk to people all the time, and people definitely have come to know me as being a pretty positive person. And I tell them it's not because I don't have negative things going on. I got a growing business. We got problems every day.
Sure.
I got problems all the time. I got way more things to be happy about and express gratitude about than to be focusing on day-to-day problems. So that's a different level when I was able to start expressing gratitude daily. A simple little trick that I love, I get a kick out of all the time. I set an alarm for gratitude twice a day at 12 o'clock and at 6 o'clock. And most outside people don't know what it is. They just hear an alarm go off on my phone, and I let it play a little bit. I don't never let it just go away. I let it play a little bit, and I try to take a little moment, even if I'm in the middle of something. And that's always good. But the fun stuff is when I'm at home. I've got a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they could be anywhere in the house. I'll typically be in my office or something, and they hear the alarm go off. Gratitude.
Oh, I love it.
Going like this.
I love it.
And then they got the little dog. They'll pick up the little dog, and they're going like this with the dog.
Right.
Right.
And grateful for the dog.
Grateful for the dog, and they're expressing gratitude. And they're feeling, because other than that, like our kids, right, they got a great life. Most of our kids in almost every atmosphere we're around have a much better life than technically, at least comfort-wise, than we did coming up, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just life to them. But that the feeling that they're getting in that, I think is going to change that, right? I think that's going to live with them for the rest of their life, to be able to express gratitude for the day-to-day.
100%.
Right? Because they're just, every day is good for kids, right? Every day is good for kids, but if you can express gratitude for that, right? And learn that as a daily thing, I think it's such a cool thing, and I've passed that on to a couple people, and they've said, man, it definitely, it's a trigger that reacts an emotional response in you, which creates a different energy, which puts out a different energy, which
100%.
changes your atmosphere, it changes everything, right? So that day-to-day expression of gratitude has changed my life big time. I try to share that with people. So that's definitely been I didn't have it at that time when you were saying it, but now I do, and it's been a big game changer for me. Didn't mean to go off on a tangent about it.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Yeah, express it, let it out. So y'all better set your alarms for gratitude. Man, that's an amazing gift to make your kids aware of. Gratitude is huge, man. And it keeps you in a growth mindset instead of that fixed mindset, instead of the victim mentality, that negative energy, that low energy. You're grateful. You're grateful. Hey, look, it's raining. Yeah, but we're not out in the rain. You know, or it could be anything. Being grateful for what you have, and that gift of you exposing your kids to that, and leading by example, for one, right? Yeah. In comparison to how we grew up, Andreas included, and these kids today, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade the summers drinking water out the hose, and sometimes it tasted like egg, running the streets, playing hide and go seek, playing football in the street. Yeah, I don't see it today. I don't see it today.
They live a different level of comfort, but they do not get to live the level of freedom that we did. We lived the level of freedom. You were out the house at 6 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock, whatever time you was out, and you was in by dark, if that was your curfew or whatever it was, right? And parents didn't know where the hell you were. Like, you know, you were supposed to be safe. You were not supposed to go past this place that we always went past, right? But we lived a level of freedom that these kids don't even know, you know, and you know, 18, and so I got an 18-year-old as well, my oldest daughter. And I had a young lady cutting my hair just yesterday telling me about just being scared to drive to the West Bank, and she's like 20 years old, and I'm like this is the level that they don't have that same feeling of freedom that we had. We had that courageous, adventurous spirit that these younger kids don't have. They have a whole lot more secluded. They live a life of comfort. You know, they don't get outside of the walls like we did. So they don't have the freedom. And so, yes, without a doubt, I wouldn't trade it either. mainly speaking, they just have a different level of comfort that we had, you know. Our cars didn't have air conditioning. We rolled the windows down. You know what I mean?
What was running through my head was being on a bike. I mean, we would ride we rode from Terrytown to Algiers one time.
Easy.
To go to the cinema.
Easy.
Or we would walk. But yeah, you're 100% right, man. It's kind of wild looking back that you'd leave in the morning and be gone 6 hours, 8 hours.
There's no pagers,
and nobody,
no cell phones, there's no checking in.
Yeah,
she might be able to call the friend's mom, but we ain't there.
Right.
You know,
they were here 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stayed up and down the street. You know, I mean, it was just totally different. There were kids everywhere. You know, now I don't see that.
They left with guns about 2 hours ago. I don't know. You know, like
pellet guns. Yeah.
We had shotguns. My mom thought I was shooting pellet guns. We were shooting 12 gauges. You know, so you know, like they just there's not that same level these days. You know, for most kids, right? You know, and for every advantage that they have now, there's plenty of disadvantages in that. And just like the young lady I was speaking with yesterday, that shows, you know, like we couldn't wait to drive, you know, and when we did drive, we weren't scared. We maybe should have been a little more scared, but we weren't, you know, and so we had a different freedom that they have different comforts now, but we had a different freedom. And kind of a more bold, adventurous spirit and lifestyle. And it taught us to probably stand on our own a lot better than what a lot of this generation is going to be capable of. But we live in an ever-changing world.
Yes, we do.
That is changing rapidly by the minute. And you know, our kids grew up in a different world. Their kids are going to grow up in a different world. And so the world evolves, just as our grandparents and parents and great-grandparents, right? So, you know.
I don't know that we're headed in the right direction, though. I think the comforts and the technology is, in many ways, disconnecting humanity from humanity. And like you were saying with the kids, the online presence and whatnot, we didn't have that. So it was what you see is what you get. It's not, oh, well, that's Dale from the Connect podcast and he's that way in his work and then he's, you know, no, what you see was what you got. Like that was it. It wasn't no, you know, faking the funk with you live in this certain way online, having this, people think this image of you, so to speak, right? It was, no, I mean, you could, you know, you knew, yeah, Jacob could play football, you know, Andreas, you know, he's going to run you over. Like you had, the interaction was just so much more profound and we didn't have anything to compare it to. It just was what it was. And I think it's, you go to the restaurant and you see 10 people and at least 7 of them are on their phones. Like, it's just, it's wild, man. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the world is constantly evolving. Just as I said, you know, take just as, it seems as long, but as early as our great-grandparents not having electricity or, you know, not having running this or that, right? And then the things that changed for our grandparents that at this point, some of us are lucky to still have them and some of us aren't, right? And then now, you know, how fast it's changed from our parents to us, to them. We were the first AOL generation, America Online, right? We were the first one to hear that, right? We were the first one to hear the dial-up, that dial-up internet, right? You know, and then, you know, now these kids are born with a cell phone in their hand and a tablet,
it's
right?
Wild.
And they are now growing up in the start of the AI revolution that is growing faster than anything has ever happened in technology and is not going to stop or slow down. And be scared of it all you want, but it's here, and you better learn how to use it, and be mad about it all you want. You know, either adapt and move with, or be left behind.
Yeah, it needs to be technology, AI. It needs to be used as a resource to help you progress and expand. And you know, I don't lean on it myself personally in the work that I do, but it's information. It's information, and the more information you have, the better off you are.
What you need to know how to do is lead AI and not be led by AI.
Definitely.
Right? Without a doubt, we very easily can fall into the generational trap of these new generations being led by AI. But the ones that are going to be on top are the ones that lead the AI.
Yes.
So that's the biggest difference. And without a doubt, we're already can't live without our cell phones, right? The more this AI advances, it's only going to get to be more and more and more. And the weak will be led by AI. The strong will do the leading.
That kind of parallels to life, though, huh? You know, leaders lead. You know what I'm saying? And you have to cultivate yourself internally to become a leader. You got to start off leading yourself. You gotta know who you are. Become self-aware. Do that internal work. Dissolve the things that are holding you back, that are in our head.
Everybody
right?
Everybody has the self-limiting beliefs. The biggest superstars that you know of are battling self-doubt all the time. It's like, you know, you got the angel and the devil on one side. You got the one side that's telling you yes you can. You got the other side telling you no you can't. You know, and then it's up to you to see who's going to win that fight.
Amen.
You know, it's up to you to be like, I hear you. Fuck you. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Ooh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, no doubt. 100%, man. That's the good wolf and the bad wolf, and which one wins? Which one do you feed?
Which one do you feed?
Speaking about feeding, with Make It Extraordinary, where do you see that going? How do you see it unfolding? And I know you've also tapped into some high-level mentors to kind of guide you and give you insight so that you can refine yourself. Speak on that.
So I mean, it's real cool to think that this right here, Make It Extraordinary, started from an aha moment riding in on a Home Depot bucket in the back of a van that started off being just the name of my flooring company. And for many years, it's just been our motto, make it extraordinary, right? You know, most people say, oh, it's pretty catchy, right? It's this, that, but it's not just because it's catchy, right? It's been the motto, it's been the mindset, it's been the what we aim to do in business. And for 20 plus years now, that's been the Extraordinary Flooring's motto, right? Make it extraordinary. But as I started evolving as a leader, as I started evolving and leading myself, it became a life motto.
Amen.
So it started transitioning to be more than a business motto and started becoming a life motto. And how can you tell people to make it extraordinary, or tell people that you're living by make it extraordinary, if you're not living extraordinary, if you're not doing the extra things that it takes? And that's part of it. Is I really feel like I want to break down that word extraordinary, because in the most simplest layman's terms, it's putting extra effort on top of an ordinary effort. It's not something unachievable.
Right.
It's not something only the supreme athletes and the top A-list actors can do. It's putting extra effort on top of ordinary effort. It's putting forth a little bit to stand up, to stand out, to stand over what the average ordinary person is doing. And that can be across any and every landscape in this world.
Amen. I love it. Yep.
So that's part of my thing with this is it's not unachievable. It is achievable on every level for every person in every endeavor that they're trying to do in their life. As simple as their crafts, their arts, their expressions, their jobs, their life, their gym effort, their family effort.
Everything.
You can put forth a little extra effort and make it extraordinary.
That's right.
So that's the breakdown that I'm trying to share. And in one of those mentors groups that I went to, my personal trainer is Jay Ferrugia. He specializes in getting men like us over 40 in the best shape of their lives. And I've battled with yo-yo dieting my whole life since high school. I've been losing and gaining 40 pounds a year almost every year since high school. And I've done that damn near religiously. Some years would go 2 years before I'd yo-yo back, you know, and growing a business and growing a family and putting everything else first other than myself so many times. And then getting to a point where I'd be disgusted and go on a mad craze. Get ready for summer, get ready for this, get ready for that, whatever that goal may be, right? Some goal-oriented diet that would get me back in shape, because I've always worked out. I've always ate relatively healthy. I know what healthy eating is like. We live here in Louisiana. We can eat healthy Monday through Friday and blow that all out the window on Saturday and Sunday very easily, right? You know, muscles are built in the gym, abs are built in the kitchen, right?
Sure.
So you can eat away. You can't outwork out a bad diet.
No, you can't outwork a bad diet.
You can't do it. And so I was on a retreat in Miami with Jay, and there was probably maybe 15 other men like ourselves, you know, successful business guys, took care of themselves, trying to level up, right? And the question was asked, when people visit your gravesite, what's going to be on your tombstone? And so it didn't come instantly. I didn't know. I'm sitting here thinking, like, you know, and the normal things come to mind, and some other people start going around the room before me, and they're like, oh, he was the best father, he was the best brother, he was the best son, all of these things. And these are things that, of course, I do strive to be.
Sure.
But that wasn't what related to me. That wasn't what was coming to me. That wasn't hitting me. Wasn't what I wanted to describe me. And once again, download, he was a conduit for personal evolution.
I love it, yep.
And that hit me like a ton of bricks. And once again, it was like, no other searching necessary. Download received. That's it. And that right there kind of kicked off the whole start. That weekend right there, that download, and the commitment that I committed to social media for my flooring business. At that time, I was against social media. I thought it was a waste of time. I didn't care. I didn't want to be caring. I didn't want to waste time. I could be learning. I could be doing something different than social media. But I knew that in order for my business to grow the way I wanted it to grow, I needed to build a social media presence for my business. And that's my flooring business at the time. So with those two commitments, kind of launched this whole Make It Extraordinary movement for me. I knew that I wanted to be a conduit for personal evolution. I knew I needed to commit to social media. And what I didn't know is by committing to social media for my business was going to lead, commit to social media for my movement, which wasn't a movement at the time. It wasn't even a thought at the time, right? It was just the commitment to be a conduit for personal evolution, the connection from one source to the other to help somebody evolve, to help somebody grow.
Yes.
Right? And that and lead turned into me doing daily motivational videos. Shortly after that is when I had to download to write the book.
Okay.
Shortly after that, after I write the book, I start opening new doors. I start going on podcasts. I start doing this, right? So that spark, that connection from the mentors, from the people doing the things that we're looking to do, trying to level up, starts taking those little steps, putting those pebbles across the river for you to be able to cross and get to that new level, right? It's the little steps. It's making the commitment into trying to better yourself, trying to evolve, like you talked about, trying to become a better leader. That's where it started.
No doubt.
I knew I needed to become a better leader.
Yep.
And how can I be a better leader if I'm not leading myself first? So, baby steps, listening to those little intuitions that tell you, you got to move right here. You don't see all the rest of the stuff in the back that it's going to lead to. You just listen to that intuition that tells you to act. Act on it. Maybe it's going to lead to the promised land. Maybe it's going to lead to the biggest mistake of your life that then corrects you to lead you to the promised land.
The lessons learned. Yeah, as you were saying that, Ted Brown jumped in my head. Ted Brown was a mentor / co-worker for a job that I did in Miami. And he said, Dale, just keep doing the next right thing. And those steps, that momentum, that was before Connect. You know, this was years back. But you talk about
the next right thing. I love that.
Yeah, it's so simple, but just keep doing the next right thing. And when we focus on what's right in front of us and being present and being engaged and listening to that intuition, and right now I need to make this decision. This is what needs to happen, right? You can have that vision 5 years, 10 years. We have an idea, we have a vision, but if we don't handle the day-to-day and stay focused and stay present, stay consistent, stay committed, be adaptable, lead with love, lead with courage, stay in a growth mindset, live in gratitude, live in humility. You know what I'm saying? All that. That's all the good stuff. I just gave you all that, my friend.
You never get there if you don't do the next right thing.
That's it, right? Brother. Yeah.
The next right thing. Like, the promised land isn't a plane ride.
No.
You know, like, it's a long ass journey, right? Yeah. Through a bunch of hills and valleys and right turns and wrong turns and breakdowns.
Oh yeah.
Flat
blowouts.
Blowouts.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the hero's journey. Yeah, you've had an awesome one, man, and I'm blessed and grateful to be able to call you a friend, man.
We connected, man. When me and you connected, we connected through Mr. Andreas right here, and
that's it.
He said, "Man, you got to call my man. You gotta connect with my guy Dale, man. Y'all two are like peas in a pod. Y'all two are y'all are one and the same. You gotta connect with this guy." And then so, you know, I called you up that day and we had like hour plus conversation, you know, and just no agenda, just kept going.
Yeah, I was telling Heidi that our energies and our flows and our vibration is very similar. you know.
You kept bringing up things that were, you brought up topics that were like 4 chapters in my book. Never knew nothing about my book, never knew nothing about me. Like, yep, I got a chapter about that. Yep, I got a chapter about that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how connected that was, from a completely unscripted, structured call that we hopped on and literally connected. But those energies, those synergies, and you know, there's so many people that want that instant gratification. They want the now. They want the 3 steps in 3 days to an extraordinary life, and it don't work that way. I've got a saying, and it's one of my chapters. It's in God's divine time. He doesn't give you what you want when you want it. He gives you what you need when you need it, and you keep moving forward. And if you're moving forward in those right directions, keep doing the right things, as you said, you will get to that place that you're after in God's divine time.
Amen. The other side of that coin is being able to see ourselves and our own choices. When you continue to make the same choice that leads to the same consequence that you don't really want. Right? You know, I mean, I know you've been through it, right? Yeah. And then you hit that point where, and boy, it's frustrating. That's when we got to look in the mirrors and we got to own it. And that's how you start becoming more aware and breaking those patterns and being able to step outside of yourself and look at yourself objectively and be like, well, what do you think's going to happen if you keep making the same choice? You're going to get the same result.
It was the same thing with the health. You know, it was the constant yo-yo dieting of getting in great shape, and then, I checked off the box. I lost the 20 or 40 pounds, right? Go back to life. Go back to making the same exact poor choices. Drinking, eating whatever you want, you know? Like, it was nothing to drink 15 drinks in a night, you know? Like, that seems preposterous to me now, but it was nothing before.
Hard alcohol?
You know? Yeah.
Damn.
Easy.
That's, yeah, I think I did that once on a cruise.
You'd have to put me in a hospital now, you know? You'd have to carry me out here and put an IV in my arm now if I were to ingest 15 drinks in a night.
You were going hard in the paint.
It was easy, you know? And I know people that make that look like a child's play, right?
Right.
You know? And that's kind of, I say that's a lot of our lives growing up over here, but I'm sure it's a lot of everybody's lives growing up everywhere. You know, it's just, it's part of it, but it's those choices and it's those repetitive decisions that you're making. But until you look that man or woman in the mirror and decide that you want to make those life changes and transformations, it's not going to happen. But it happens from realizing that you're the only one that can make this transformation. Nobody else is going to do it.
Full accountability. Looking yourself in the mirror, and that one of my mentor, Jeffrey Combs, he talks about when the pleasure isn't worth the pain, the payoff, right? And it's desire, it's being sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's could be an outside influence also, but it's like you have that clarity in that moment. And you might even have a vision of the future, like, what does this look like in 3 years if I continue doing these same choices? However, for everybody, it comes at us different. I mean, the aha moments, the awakenings, the clarity, the epiphanies, they're all stimulated by a zillion different layers. It could be, it could be TV. It could be, I've had synchronicities where, like, I pick up a book and then I see something. I'm watching a TV commercial, I hear something. It's like the same thing, the same message. The universe is speaking to you. Do you compute? Are you, you're being slapped around, right? It's like, are you listening? And it's just magical, man. Life is just, it's a lot more fulfilling and full of meaning and value when you're engaged in your own life, or when you start with that self-accountability and that responsibility. You get that engagement, but now you own it. Now you own it, the good, bad, and the ugly, right? So, but at that point, at least you can dictate, and even if it's the wrong path on your hero's journey, that got you somewhere, if you can pause, learn those lessons, get back on the freeway, and you'll be able to see those headaches and those speed bumps in the future, you know, those red flags.
You hit the nail on the head with being engaged in your own reality. How many of us and others are struggling in life because they are constantly trying to disengage from their reality? And that is what is causing the problems.
100%.
Because they are living, trying to disengage at every corner that they can. Get off of work, drinking beer, smoking weed, popping pills, eating, whatever their bad habit is, right? Because they're trying to disengage from their reality.
Numb themselves from how they feel, from what they're thinking, from the story in the head, the negative story that's in the head. Well, if I smoke this bud or I have these drinks, it'll distract me from that, right? So you came
disengage me.
You came to the second live event that I did, relationships, and I went into a lot of those layers where different things that happen to us, traumas, pains, issues that we hold on to, that live within us, that are unhealed, unresolved, undissolved, where they're still there. And then we turn to the sex addiction, we turn to the alcohol, we turn to the smoking, to the drug use, to the gambling, because those issues that need to be dealt with, we need to free ourselves up of those things. We got to sit with it to process it, right? So that event, relationships, a lot of that was covered. And then with technology now, people, well, I can live on the internet or have this, but it's all forms of distraction. And it's like you're alive, but are you really living? You're not. I mean, and look, I was there, you know, before my awakening, before taking full responsibility. I get it. And that's the programming from society. That's the parents that they love their kids. But if the parents aren't awake, if the parents aren't teaching their kids gratitude, setting an alarm, if those things aren't happening, then it's just a system of programming. And being able to see it and have some clarity, and then choose what programming to give your kids, to be intentional.
Well, like you said, we live in a system of programming, and that's why, to me, and one of the biggest portions of my book was to pay homage to all the mentors that I was blessed to have.
Amen.
So you are a product of your environment. You are a product of your environment's programming, whether it be from your family household, whether you call it the technology, this, that, right? You're a product of that environment, and of that whatever it is you're growing up in. Are you blessed enough or fortunate enough to have those examples around you? And if you're not, you do have the opportunity with all of this technology to engulf yourself in that positivity and be inspired by people doing amazing, extraordinary things.
Amen.
And at the same time, you can choose to blow it all on the BS that is out there, that is completely opposite of that, the things that are wrong with the world, right? You can engulf. There's an algorithm. Which side of the algorithm are you on? In your feed, is your feed full of negative BS or is your feed full of powerful, positive things, right? Check yourself. Check your algorithm. Maybe you need to change that profile of yours because your algorithm is screwed. That's your algorithm. That computer is non-biased. That computer says, oh, they like this. This is what they like. This is what they watch. This is what they want. Give it to them.
Let them have it.
Let them have it. Maybe you need to disconnect. Change your algorithm. Because you are bringing in the wrong vibes.
Feeding the repetitive cycle that you're in. And if you're unhappy, that's what you get. Yeah, mine's...
Misery loves company, right?
Mine's DG mindset, Carl Jung quotes like expand, 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 you know, and supplements. I bought one today, a prebiotic, a probiotic, and this other thing. So they got me with the supplements, you know.
They're good. They're powerful, man. They're powerful. They you know, they read what you throwing. They're catching what you throwing and they're throwing it right back at you. You know, so if your feeds are full of that, then disconnect. Make a new profile. Put some positivity in your life.
Amen.
Change that algorithm in your life.
Amen.
And this is all you know, hypotheses, and it's all, you know, paradigms that we're speaking in, but it's the reality, you know, and change the algorithm of your life and watch the different things, watch the energy change, watch the shifts, watch the things that happen.
With the desire to be better. And it doesn't mean to have a bigger car or fancy clothes. We have to become those things. I want to be more loyal. I want to be more, people don't trust me. Why don't they trust me? Do you trust yourself? Look at do you say what you're going to do, and do you do what you say? You know, are you a man of integrity or a woman of authenticity? And so that self-accountability, man, it all starts there. But that desire to do better, to fulfill, and to do your part in this world, you know?
This is part of the program that I'm working on developing, and it's my version of an extraordinary life is not the same as your version of an extraordinary life. It's not the same as your version of the extraordinary life. It is up to each and every one of us individually to envision what is that like. If I could have everything I truly wanted that mattered in my life, what would that be? What's that envision look like? All right, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good, right? So now, what would I have to do to get that? What changes do I have to make? What transformations do I need to make in myself in order to achieve that? So in order to achieve that, first you have to be able to see that and define that and have that mental picture of what my version of an extraordinary life means to me. You know, to everybody is different. Everybody. It's not about the wealth and the cars and the flashy things you see that people call extraordinary on Instagram and everything else. No, like, what is extraordinary to you?
Mindset. That's what jumps out at me. Extraordinary mindset. Because you're limitless, baby, once you got that. And you know, mind, heart, coherence. Yeah, man.
You know, what I want in my life is different than what somebody else wants. You know, an extraordinary life to the hunter is, you know, simplest house, a shotgun, and 40 acres in the backyard with a bunch of deer and rabbits and everything else, and don't care about anything else in the world. And that's the most extraordinary vision he could ever think of, and that's what he wants.
Amen.
And he's living that,
yes,
right?
Connected.
To everybody, it's different.
Connected. Yeah.
And to everybody, it's achievable.
Yes.
But you got to see it. You got to envision it. Then you got to figure out what it's going to take for you to achieve it.
And align yourself internally, right? Become those things. Become a harder worker, a visionary, more focused, less distracted, healed from whatever that story and that I can't, you shouldn't. Yeah, we gotta align ourselves, and once we align ourselves, boy, those things start coming, huh? It's just a matter of time, and you keep doing the next right thing.
And watch them come.
So for the audience, how can they get a hold of your content, your Instagram?
Main biggest platform is the Instagram. It's Make It Extraordinary. Make_it extraordinary on Instagram. It's pretty much the same on the rest of the platforms. Instagram's my biggest platform though. I put out pretty much a daily motivational video almost every day, and then I put out a bunch of motivational clips from podcasts and stuff that I do, and that's probably the best way to keep up the most current way. But we've got the same thing on TikTok, Facebook, all of the above. We got your event coming up, the Get Unstuck event.
Yes.
Very excited about this. This is going to be very cool event. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to helping shift some mindsets.
Amen.
You know, to get unstuck from that current reality, wherever it is, wherever they feel they are stuck at. You know, what are some of the mindset shifts we can help people break through?
Amen.
At this event, it's a very exciting thing. It's part of my calling. It's over the course of my lifestyle, or the course of my lifetime, how many people can I help evolve?
Amen. July 26 in New Orleans. Technically Gretna, the White House. And very soon we'll start running some promotions for that, and all of the details. You can go to theconnection.studio. Let's talk about your work with the flooring. How far out from the New Orleans area do you travel to service?
We typically keep about a 3-hour radius in New Orleans. We do all things polished concrete, epoxy coatings, resinous coatings. Predominantly commercial, but we also have a residential division. Our sweet spot is that hour-and-a-half circle of New Orleans. You know, we travel a little bit further for that, for the right clients, the ones that know us and want to use us. We'll do some travel from there, but our sweet spot's right in that hour-and-a-half, 2-hour circumference of New Orleans.
Okay, and the contact info for the flooring needs, one more time.
Extraordinaryflooring.com.
Extraordinaryflooring.com. I love it, man. I'm blessed to have you here. I'm blessed that you're a part of my life, and I look forward to seeing you shine and make it extraordinary on July 26th. Your first engagement, performance,
first speaking,
sharing.
Not the first performance, plenty of stage performances before, but the first speaking engagement on stage.
Beautiful. One of many, many, many more to come. So I'm in gratitude for that, brother. I look forward to sharing that space with you, man. Opening some minds, opening some hearts. And I think you did you coin it? You said get unstuck when we had that meeting with Sean.
Sean said it. I made it stick.
Yes.
And did it stick.
Yes.
Yes.
That
was it.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Once it was said, there was nothing else needed.
Yeah.
Once it was said,
no,
nothing else needed.
It was there. I kind of chewed on it for a little bit. Y'all were in alignment, and then it clicked for me, and then I was like, all right, we need to bring in Dr. Christina. July 26th at the White House in Gretna. Doors open at 1:30. Event starts at 2 o'clock. It'll go 2 to 4. So hope to see you there. We'll definitely turn that into a couple podcast episodes. The July 26th event, Get Unstuck. And you ain't ever stuck.
Looking forward to it, baby.
Dude, thank you so much. Jacob Lawson, Make It Extraordinary.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate your time. Listen, I'd like you to go to theconnection.studio. I'm going to do a journal up for this episode. It's going to be extraordinary. I'm going to have to chew on some insights and maybe have another conversation with Jacob about it. for the journal. Also want to show you the book. And here it is right here. Make It Extraordinary. Go get you a copy. Jacob Lawson. Man, one more time, I appreciate your time, brother.
Glad we connected, baby.
Me too, my friend. We'll see you next time. Stay strong, stay vibrant, stay current, stay present, and stay authentic. God bless. Thanks for joining us at the Connection Studio. You can support us by sharing with others and posting to social media. Keep doing the internal work, as it will truly make all the difference. God bless.